So for those who don't know, there's a lot of different reworks going on for a lot of different classes in the upcoming 7.1.5 patch, and I wanted to go over my main class that I've been spending the most time on since the expansion launched, and that's going to be the Fire Mage. There's a lot of things that I'm going to go over. I want to go over the most obvious changes, like the talent changes and the talents that have become baseline abilities, and kind of explain the differences of like the current mage in 7.1 compared to the 7.1.5 mage. So we're going to start there, and then we're also going to move on to like the hidden changes that aren't really expressed, because I don't see any like official patch notes anywhere. If you guys see them, like link them down below, but I can't seem to find them anywhere. So I've kind of like compared them to the current mage and like tested out different things, and I've been able to find a few hidden things that aren't actually like stated for the changes. So let's go ahead and jump into the obvious ones, and that's going to be the talents. So real quick, for Fire, Frost, and Arcane Mage, the defensives have changed significantly, and the like defensive survivability type philosophy for each of the classes has been more identified for their class. So Fire Mages, you have Cauterize on a baseline ability. So Cauterize used to be right here. Now it's Blast Wave, and I'll explain Blast Wave in a little bit. I'll explain all these talents that are changing. But as you can see from a passive baseline ability, we actually have Cauterize. For all of you guys who don't know what that is, it's like a cheat death almost. So when you actually are about to die, instead of dying, your health goes back to 35% health, and then you burn for 6 seconds. You burn 28% of your maximum health, so you go back down to 7% over 6 seconds, and you also have 150% increased movement speed for that 6 seconds. So you can like run away, you get a cheat death, and this is a baseline Fire Mage ability. As well as like Cold Snap that used to be available for Fire Mages, that's only available for Frost Mages now. Cool. So now that that's out of the way, I want to go ahead and explain what took their place, and that is going to be Blast Wave and Blazing Soul. So Blast Wave used to be right here, and Alex Strauss's Fury kind of took that spot. So Blast Wave moved up the ladder onto the rank 31, and honestly, Blast Wave really isn't very useful. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and it's only available to cast around yourself, so it's like a Frost Nova. It offers a slow, but honestly, it's really not useful compared to Shimmer. Most people are going to be using Shimmer out of these three. The new talent is called Blazing Soul, and what this does is it actually synergizes with your new shield called Blazing Barrier. All right, and for everyone who doesn't know what Blazing Barrier is, it's like the replacement for Ice Barrier. So Arcane Mage has an Arcane Shield, Fire Mage has a Fire Shield, and Frost Mage has the Ice Barrier, right? However, Blazing Barrier, it shields you for less damage than the Ice Barrier would have in the previous patch. So you're a little bit nerfed there. Since you have the Cauterize, they have to like kind of make it so mages aren't unkillable. And Blazing Barrier is like a weaker Ice Barrier, but also makes it so that whenever you're melee, like people attack you, it also causes fire damage to the attacker while Blazing Barrier is on you. And this is similar to like how Molten Armor used to work back in the previous expansions, and this mechanic is actually back now in the form of Blazing Barrier, and that's how that works. So, and how that synergizes with Blazing Soul is it makes it so that when people are attacking you, it actually refills the Blazing Barrier Absorb shield for 40% of the damage dealt, up to the maximum amount, which would be the Blazing Barrier 240,000. So what's interesting about this, and I see a problem like right away. Okay, and that's going to be the fact that Blazing Barrier is only a 240,000 shield. And if you are in a PvP scenario, or if you're in any scenario, actually, most things outside of just like the little like NPC mobs that attack you during world quests, like everything hits you for over 100 or 240,000. So I can't really see this being useful, because for this to be useful, you have to not only be hit for less than the whole shield amount, but you actually have to be hit multiple times for that as well for this to be efficient. And I can't really see this being too useful, because everything is going to be hitting you for more than 240,000, especially in PvP. Like Glacial Spikes will hit you for 800,000, Arcane Blast will hit you for 1 million. Fell Eruptions from Demon Hunters are hitting for like 900,000. Rogues, maybe it could work for like rogue auto attacks, but I really don't know how this is going to really like be practical in PvP. So that's my only complaint, but I do see the concept. I think it's cool. I just don't know how this will actually like feasibly work. So moving on from that talent, I want to talk about Alex Strauss's Fury, which is actually a pretty cool brand new talent in 7.1.5. It makes it so that your Dragon's Breath will always critically strike and also contributes to Hot Streak. So that basically means that your Hot Streak has another critical strike activator for whenever you're trying to get from heating up to Hot Streak and get that instant cast Pyroblast. This is a cool talent. Honestly, I've tried it in PvP. It seems to be cool. It seems to really fill the purpose that obviously the talent is saying it's going to fill. The only complaint that I have is that it doesn't really work too well compared to Flame On. Since Flame On in the previous patch, it actually worked as an activation ability, so you could just press the ability and then it would instantly give you 2 charges of Fire Blast. But now it actually increases the maximum amount of Fire Blast charges by 1, so you have 3 Fire Blast charges, as you can see down here in the bottom part of my screen, and you can also you also have 3 seconds reduced off of the entire recharge rate / cooldown of the Fire Blast. So it's like a super efficient passive talent to take, as opposed to having to waste that like global cooldown in order to flame on and get your Fire Blast back. This kind of works in the same capacity. It does pretty much the same thing if you do the math. But you don't have to actually press an ability. You don't have to have the global cooldown wasted, and that's like how this works. So I can't really see Alexstrasza's Fury taking over Flame On. I think Flame On is extremely efficient and does exactly what it's supposed to do, and especially since Controlled Burn was actually buffed this patch. So it used to be whenever you were heating up, you would actually have a 10% chance to instantly activate Hot Streak, whereas now in 7.1.5, you're buffed, you have 10% more on top of that 10%, equaling 20% chance to instantly activate Hot Streak when you gain heating up. Now, this is a cool concept, again. However, I do think that it doesn't really work to the efficiency that Flame On will do, because Controlled Burn, how it works is like you have to get heating up, and a lot of fire mages, they like to get the crit, and they know when they're going to get the crit based on like probabilities and such, and you like Fire Blast according to when you're going to get that crit. And I think that Controlled Burn like kind of puts into the playstyle a form of like clunkiness, where you have to basically like wait a couple like milliseconds and like wait that little extra time in order to decide whether or not you got the Controlled Burn proc. And I think like while it's cool, while it does offer that cool like extra way to get a Pyroblast, I just think that Flame On is probably better for the playstyle that fire mages are looking for right now. So that's why I would choose Flame On. The last talent that's brand new in the fire tree is going to be Frenetic Speed, and this replaced Ice Flows, which is only available as a Frost Mage now. Frenetic Speed allows you to basically have 30% increased movement speed for 3 seconds whenever you cast Scorch, and this works in synergy with your casting or your Scorched Earth artifact trait, where you cast Scorch and you gain 5% movement speed, stacking up to 5 times, so you can have upwards of 55% movement speed. This is cool. However, I don't ever have any chance to really ever use Scorch during my rotation. For PvE and PvP, I never really use it, so I struggle to see how this will be useful. I mean, I think people will take it over like Ring of Frost and Ice Ward in PvE, but still, like for PvP, like you never Scorch ever, so it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I think that if it were to be really useful, maybe it could go up to 40%, and then, or maybe even 50%, and then the Scorched Earth like artifact trait could be changed altogether, where this doesn't even do what it currently does. It does something else. I think that like that would make more sense, but I don't know. I just don't see this ability being too impactful in the Fire Mage playstyle right now. But whatever, it's there now, so if you choose to take it, there you go. There really isn't a whole lot changing with the fire spec, but it is kind of cool that when you take Flare Up, you can actually have 4 charges of Fire Blast to use at your disposal at like all times, and that's pretty cool. But there's really not a whole lot there. I've pretty much gone over all the survivability stuff, like Blazing Barrier's new, Cauterizes baseline, and explaining all of that. So I would like to explain a little bit of the changes that are not specifically expressed, and then we'll jump into some arenas so you can see how it works in game. So first things first, Combustion was nerfed. So in PvE scenarios, Combustion would allow mages to do the most amount of damage that any class could do at a certain time. And Combustion was nerfed in a way to where you still have your 100% critical strike, like that's not changing, but the mastery you gain from that critical strike bonus is actually nerfed by a significant amount, probably like half. So on live, if I press Combustion with 16% mastery and my current gear, same gear on live, then I'll have 42% mastery, whereas if I press Combustion right now, I only have 30% mastery. And that's a pretty big nerf to the burst damage that fire mages like have, so just a heads up that that's going on. Meteor was buffed by basically double, so like 100% damage increase with Meteor. From like my understanding, these aren't specifically stated in the patch notes, so if I'm wrong by like a couple of numbers, whatever, but it seems to be like 100% increase on its damage. So Meteor got a big burst damage, and it does upwards of 600k out in the world on my character, my gear score. And it does about 400 to 600k in PvP, so that's pretty cool. You know, you have a lot of burst damage if you can land that Meteor over always taking Cinderstorm or Kindling, mostly Kindling, right? So that's kind of how that works. And last but not least, the critical strike scaling was actually nerfed for fire mages from my understanding. So how this works is that when you hit 110, and if you were to have no gear on, you actually have a higher base crit. So like your crit rating is already higher based on the class. However, when you get gear with crit, you obviously increase in that critical strike percentage. I have the exact same gear on live, and I have 2% more crit, so that means that the scaling for the crit as the fire mage was actually nerfed. So that means the more critical strike rating you get on your fire mage gear, so like the more crit strike like rating itself, the less percentage you get in 7.1.5. So it's like a slight nerf in the crit. Which means that, I mean, you just probably will get less Pyrolust. But regardless, guys, what we're going to do is actually jump into some arenas so you can see how the 7.1.5 Fire Mage is looking in PvP, and then I will see you after those arenas.
I feel like I fought all my life for this. This one part, this 1/3 I've always missed. No, just don't let it go. I started the fight, but now I'm losing. So will I fall again? I'm scared of heights, yet it was me who ran away. Oh, I can't forget myself. The piece that I'm missing, it kills me inside. I need help, oh please give me back. This one part, this 1/3, I'm sorry I lost it. No, I let my weapons fall. I'm drowning in the fears, and now I know that I will fall again and let it go, but I can't stop to run away. To run away. Run away.
And that does sum it up, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to give a big thumbs up, and also leave a comment down below if you are going to be playing Fire Mage and what you think of the changes. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel for all of these like class rework overviews and kind of explaining how 7.1 is going to be, or 7.1.5 is going to be changing your class. I'm trying to release these videos as well as I can. The only problem is that there aren't specific, like I can't just create a character and then it's 110 and has max like gear and stuff. Like I have to actually go find characters to play and stuff like that, so whatever. But anyways, guys, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see the videos. I'll be coming out with Frost and Arcane, or I guess you guys have already seen Arcane, but I'll be coming out with Frost tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.